power, he contains it. The man on his own, abandoned the throne of approach across stainless. Death couldn't shake him or derail. 3 nails could pierce but couldn't break him or make him appear taken away from his mere nature.
Hello, welcome to another educative, exciting moment of Living Your Dreams television broadcast. Like we said, that desperate times calls for desperate measures. We are actually at a particular point in time in life where we need to have marriage mentors, marriage coaches, marital therapists, and even pastors who not just teach the skills of marriage, the habits of marriage, but even go to teach, as it were, the heart with which people should marry and understand the issue of brokenness and how to deal with it. We have a huge burden in Living Your Dreams to see how we can bring revolution to marriages, strengthen marriages, and let them become true expressions of God. We are still talking about how parents affect and impact their children and the implication of the absence of parents in the lives of their children, and how truth has been so eroded. And this day, we're going to begin with some of the questions that we couldn't take last week that has to do with the issue under discussion. Here with me on the studio is my wonderful friend. She is a marriage mentor, a great mentor. We have a revival, a movement that has to do with mentoring young people. I'm leading, she is assisting me. And she has done wonders with it. Many young girls are testifying who are unmarried. In case you would like to join the movement, it's not a denomination, it's not a church, it's just a movement. All right, her name is Chichi, a lawyer by training, a marriage counselor, a mentor. So she will be throwing at the same time asking the questions. Chichi, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Let's do this together.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. One of the questions we couldn't take last time was asked by a student also in the forum we went for in Auchi.
Okay.
This one says, when a mother moves from marriage to marriage and it is affecting the children, what should the children do? A mother who moves from marriage to marriage.
We must say again, like we have the scripture, I read it last week, I think I should even read it again. It said, I have been constantly aware of your unfailing love. I have lived according to your truth. There is something about the relationship that people have with their parents that impacts their, like I said last week, their beliefs, their core beliefs about themselves, about God, about their reality. And at the same time, impacts their values that you see it expressed in their behaviors. So if a woman is moving from marriage to marriage, our stand here, we are not condemning the woman, but we must look at the impact of her action in the lives of the children. And you have a training on inner healing, where we're talking about the care and cure of our souls so that people can live together. A mother affects the child's identity because a child derives the aspect of identity that has to do with comfort. No, not the aspect of identity. It supplies a need. I'm going to take that again, Mila. Okay. A mother impacts, supplies a need in the life of a child. Okay. What do I mean by that? Every need, whether it is legitimate or illegitimate, they feel real. However, there are needs of the soul which the mother is supposed to supply for the child.
Yes.
The need for comfort is a legitimate need. The need for nurture is a legitimate need. Yes, beautiful. You understand what I'm talking about? The need for care is a legitimate need, as well as the need to teach. These are legitimate needs that a child cannot do without. Now, it means that when you jump from one marriage to another, the child has been shown 2 or 3 or 4 fathers. Should we begin to talk about the impact of a father in the life of a child? It will amaze you. I will read you research. They will even put it on the screen. A research that was done by a medical school, Dartmouth Medical School, And they did it with other organizations where they were looking at 200, they did 200 scientific studies of young people. They called that research hardwired to connect.
Okay.
And they subtitled it, the new scientific case for authoritative communities. I would like them to put it on the screen. Look at what the research said. All scientific research shows that from the moment a baby is born, the baby's brain is formed physically and biologically to connect in relationships.
Okay.
Not emotionally, not spiritually, but physically.
Physically, with the mother.
It went on to say that if you want to pass your beliefs and values onto your authoritative community, no matter who, there are 2 ingredients. The first ingredient is a loving and intimate relationship or connection. The second one is a modeling. I want to read it according to, I want to quote the research. You must develop a loving, intimate relationship or connection with that young person, or they will walk away from your truth and your values.
Wow.
That's the same thing the Bible said, I've been constantly aware of your unfailing love. If we have loving, intimate connection, the children will not walk away from the truth and the values.
Wow.
The second ingredient is the ingredient that says, if you must pass your truth to a young person, then you must model that truth in the presence of that child.
Wow.
The first one is loving, intimate connection. The second one is what you want them to do, you must model it before them. Yes.
Show them.
Beautiful. I used to actually think that if you model it is enough. Until I discovered this research, there are 2 ingredients.
Yeah.
Number 1, this truth you want to share must be put within the context of a loving, intimate relationship.
Wow, for it to be complete.
Chichi, otherwise the children will slam the truth on your body and walk away.
Wow.
Science eventually has caught up with what God has been saying. Because in Ephesians chapter 4, I think verse 15, it began to say, I can read it from here. He says, speaking the truth in love.
In love, yes.
So that, with love, so that the people will mature. What I'm trying to do, Chichi, is to show you the impact of this woman's action. I'm going somewhere.
On her children.
Yes. I'm going to show you from research. Michael Jackson was talking to about 800 undergraduates in a university. Then there was a foundation. It's called Help the Children. 13 to 15 minutes into his talk, he started crying. You know what he said? He said when they started Jackson 5, he was 5 years old. He said one day on set, something happened. He looked at his daddy and said, Daddy. And Daddy said, I'm not your daddy, I'm your manager. He said, in Michael's words, when Michael said that, Michael started weeping. He wept, the king of pop. He wept to the point that someone brought tissue and gave him.
Rejection.
Yes, and there's something he said. He said, all I wanted my father to do is to look at me and say, Michael, I love you. Wow. If you take a child from one marriage to another marriage to another marriage, 2 things will happen. I still want to show you the second research. I'm showing you the research so that it won't be that we are just talking. Yes. This was done by Columbia University. They commissioned a study to find out how family structure between a single parent family headed by a mother and a 2-parent family. Chichi, you can read it. Chichi, you can even read it. You can read it for me.
Headed by a biological father and mother.
Chichi, start from the beginning.
Columbia University commissioned a study to find out how family structure between a single-parent family headed by a mother and a 2-parent family headed by a biological father and mother affected a child's involvement in drugs, alcohol, and violence.
Read on.
Wow. When the study was released, it showed that a child raised in a single-parent home where the mother is the head is 30% more likely to get into drugs and alcohol.
Yes.
Wow. But for a child raised in a 2-parent home, biological family, where there is a poor relationship with the father, it is 68% more likely, twice as likely to get into drugs, alcohol, and violence.
Yes. Read on.
Wow. A child raised in a 2-parent biological home, but there is a good relationship with the father.
Yes.
that child is 94% less likely to ever get into drugs,
yes,
alcohol, or violence.
Yes.
In other words, it is possible but totally improbable.
Yes.
Beyond the two-parent structure, let us also emphasize the relationship within the structure.
Yes.
A relationship within the structure is as powerful as the structure. It is the relationship that engenders young people to want to believe.
Chichi,
wow,
now interpret this research.
Okay.
Interpret this research.
What the research is saying that
yes.
in homes where a mom is the one, a single mother is
yes.
the one raising the family.
Yes.
The children are 30%
more likely
to get into drugs.
Yes.
But in homes where there's a two-parent biological family,
yes.
there is a poor relationship with the father.
Yes.
There's emphasis on poor relationship with
the father. With the father.
It is 68% more likely, twice as likely as with the mother.
Yes.
More likely to get into drugs,
yes.
alcohol, or violence.
Yes.
But in homes where there are two parents, biological homes, and there is a good relationship with the father. There is 95% less likelihood of the child to go into drugs, alcohol, and violence. This is eye-opening.
With the father.
With the father. The bond and relationship with a father in a home is very, very important.
Chichi will be back. We'll just come back very shortly. Thank you so much.
Yeah. An awesome God, he reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is awesome. Our God is awesome. Let's go. Hey. Yeah. I like that. I always wanted to flip this joint. Let's get it. Yeah. Hey.
All power, he contains it. The man on his own, abandoned the throne of approach across stainless. Death couldn't shake him or derail. 3 nails could pierce but couldn't break him or make him appear taken away from his mere nature.
Welcome back. We are so caught up in this research that, in fact, we're talking. Chichi, go ahead. You were saying something.
Okay. What I was saying is that I never knew this kind of research exists. And this just brings me to say that we do not place so much emphasis on the role of fathers in this society.
Yes.
If people know the importance of fatherhood in the life of a child, I think there will be people who will put more
strength.
Yes, strength. People would value the relationship of a father and a child.
Chichi.
That mother does not know what she's doing to the child. She's breaking and distorting the child's well-being.
Identity. Chichi, do you know that even you find out sometimes a woman has quarreled with the husband, she will make sure she gets the children to quarrel with their father.
This is so
wrong. This is a scientific research. Chichi, 30% more likely if the child is growing with the mother alone. 68% more likely.
Twice as much.
Twice. If there is a poor relationship, there is a poor relationship with the father.
After reading this as a mother, I wouldn't want the relationship with my children and their dad. I wouldn't want it to be malnourished.
Yes. So this woman who has gone from one marriage to another has removed 3 things from the child's life. A father does three things. Number 1, the job of identity. It is in the hands of the father. In the face of your father, it mirrors to you who you are.
Wow.
Again, the issue of protection. Protection is not to have a security officer. Self-esteem. And then the areas of provision. If you remove these 3 pillars from the life of a child, because you're trying to, sometimes I'm not supporting people killing their wives, but I'm saying that even if there is quarrel between you and your husband, do not deny the child relationship with the father.
Very important.
If the father is late, this is Africa. Even we're not in Africa, there are church relationship. There are groups.
And then father figures.
Thank you so much. That can mentor the child.
And not leave a vacuum in their life.
It is important that we overemphasize this Chichi, I'm going to show you another research. I've been showing you. You see, one of the finest in the world because of their research. This came from Johns Hopkins Medical School. They did a study to find out if they could find a predicative factor for 5 things. One is mental illness, hypertension, malignant tumor. Wow. You can even read the rest.
Coronary heart disease.
Yes.
Suicide. Could they look at a young person and say, if this is true in a young person's life, also the entire probability of one of these 5 things when they grow up?
Read on. You'll be shocked.
1,377 graduates of Johns Hopkins Medical School, after 30 years of research, found common predictor closeness to one's parents.
Yes.
Wow. It's something that is present in every life. We face it daily, handled it differently, sometimes good, sometimes bad. It has a potential towards all the 5 things. Wow. So what does this tell us?
1,377 graduates of Johns Hopkins Medical School. They are very good research. They're asking themselves, what is one of the things that could lead someone to have mental illness, hypertension, suicide,
tumor,
and heart disease?
Wow.
Is what? Closeness. Chichi, look at it here.
Closeness to one's parents.
Closeness to one's parents.
Okay. Or non-closeness.
Now, if you are not close to your parents,
you are more likely to have
likely to this when you grow up.
Wow. More
likely. The second one, Chichi, the second predicative factor is stress.
Yes.
They found that a child raised in a very loving, intimate environment could handle stress so much better in their life.
Chichi, so the relationship is so critical. It is important that these relationships with parents are not only nurtured, that it's important.
All of us.
Very steady, very stable. So children who grow in unstable families, unstable homes, are more likely to have hypertension, more likely to commit suicide, more likely to have heart disease. Wow, this is eye-opening. It is informative.
Chichi, I have not started. Look, a young man, 12 to 14 years old, or a young girl who does not have a loving, intimate relationship at home, especially with the father, research now shows is 100% more likely to attempt suicide.
Wow, for a 15 years. And this is the issues we have these days. You wake up on the news and you see young people committing suicide. It didn't used to be existing. These days is like there's an increase in how many people commit suicide, and we do not know the cause.
Truth has been so eroded. People are saying, we have taken God's things and turned it upside down. Chichi, 300% more likely. That is 12 to 14 years. Now, for a 15 to 14-year-old, 100% more likely to commit suicide.
Wow. This is important. Knowing this now, as a mother, as a lady, I am more likely to ensure that my children grow up in a stable family. Now, just like she said earlier, if a relationship or something happens between the husband and the wife, ensure that we do not drive it or we do not make the children involved in it. Let us resolve our differences. Let us have our issues, but not let the children. Because of the children, let's resolve it amicably. Let's not draw these children into it because it's damaging their lives.
Yes.
It's going to ensure that at the end of the day, they are more likely to commit suicide, more likely to have heart diseases. Is there any research against that?
Chichi,
wow.
You see the way you caught fire on this.
Yeah, because I didn't know.
If I was only reading Bible for you, say it's Bible. Now, I'm showing you that science eventually caught up with Psalm. This was a psalm that David wrote many centuries ago. Somebody said, hey, it's Bible. Bible is not correct. Now, science, this is Psalm 26 verse 3. I have been constantly aware of your unfailing love, and I have lived according to your truth. Now, how may I put this, Chichi? We need to stop dragging our children into the challenges we're having with our husbands.
Word.
We need to. We need to stop using them to settle scores.
Or as baits.
Yes, thank you so much. We need to stop using our children as baits because they are life depends on the closeness with any of these parents. Now, David is the one that said, he said, I have not seen. If David had not seen and been aware of that unfailing hope, he would never have lived according to the truth. Even then, David still had challenges in his life. Because all of us knew from church history that David was, in fact, some had mentioned that he was a product of a one-night stand. So he was forgotten in the bush, and they didn't want anybody to see him because the father didn't want him to, you know, something you did secretly.
Yes.
And you see how he struggled throughout. Fathers, you may be the greatest explainer of truth. You may be the greatest illustrator of truth. But listen, if the very truth you're saying, your child does not feel loved, if in the very heart of your child, they do not believe that you love them, they will walk away with the truth from this truth. We're still going to be back next week, next time, this same station. Just keep living your dreams. Chichi will still join me next week. We're doing a good job, aren't we? See you next week.
Yeah. An awesome God he reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is awesome. Our God is awesome. Let's go. Hey. Yeah. I like that. I always wanted to flip this joint. Let's go. Yeah. Hey.
All power, he contains it. The man on his own, abandoned the throne of approach across stainless. Death couldn't shake him or derail. 3 nails could pierce but couldn't break him or make him appear taken away from his mere nature.